Welcome back everyone, I'm Michael, and today we're going to take a look at several posts of some really infuriating and entitled family members overstepping boundaries. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get started. For this first story, it should be noted that this is a repost of a thread from another community. This repost was created in 2019. It's titled "Entitled Sister Tries to Steal an Unborn Baby." So this happened about 3 years ago to my boyfriend's sister-in-law. For the purpose of this story, I will be referring to her as my sister-in-law as well. This is the main cast. Me, BF, which means boyfriend, Sissy meaning sister-in-law, BIL, brother-in-law, ES, entitled sister, who is my boyfriend's older sibling, and MIL and FIL, who are my mother and father-in-law. BIL and Sissy announced that they were expecting their first child after all the presents had been opened on Christmas Day. Everyone was elated and couldn't wait for the new addition to the family. Weeks passed and the pregnancy was going very well. Then it was time for the gender reveal. BIL and Sissy have been expressing that they wanted a little girl. They wanted to name her after Sissy's mother, who had passed away. Everyone was on board and was hoping for little bits of pink confetti to fall from the balloon when it was popped. But then, boom, blue confetti. Everyone was a bit stunned and then regained their excitement. A baby boy. ES took notice of the moment of stunned silence and determined that it was in disappointment. This is when she made her move. She pulled BIL aside and started to talk to him. ES, I'm so sorry you won't be getting your little girl. BIL, it's okay, we aren't upset about it. ES, you know, I could take him off your hands for you if you want. BIL, laughing nervously. Yeah, you can have him sometimes. ES, smiling wide. Really? Oh, my girls will be so happy. She has 2 daughters ages 6 and 8. BIL, I mean, he'll be their cousin so they'll get to see him. ES then ran back to where her husband and daughters were and started talking gleefully to them. BIL didn't think anything of it until 2 weeks later when the first set of partially filled out adoption papers was received in the mail. Sissy went off on BIL thinking that he had promised away their child. She was so livid that her whole body was shaking and her face was bright red. BIL explained that he just told ES that she could babysit him and have him do a day or so when they needed help. Sissy calmed down a bit and they put the adoption papers away. After the third set of adoption papers were received, everyone sort of started to shut out ES, and she wasn't invited her to the baby shower for fear that she would make a scene. That is exactly what she did. She showed up to the baby shower pounding on the door and screaming that we threw a party for her baby and didn't include her. We all ignored her, hoping she would go away, but this only made it worse. After the banging on the front door stopped, we all assumed she had left. That was until we heard footsteps from the kitchen and then saw ES and her daughters running into the living room. The girls made a dash for the present table and tried to grab as much as they could while ES began screaming at Sissy that she had no right to keep her from her son's baby shower. BF and I stopped the girls from getting the presents and tried to calmly explain that the whole situation was a misunderstanding and that BIL and Sissy were keeping their baby. ES said, but that's not fair. You don't even want a boy, and I already told my girls that they were getting a brother. ES's daughters looked very confused and the younger one was crying. BIL said, well, you shouldn't have said that. He's our son and we are keeping him. You need to leave now. ES put up a fight and even spit at Sissy and called her a but FIL and BF managed to drag her out, followed by MIL and the little girls. We all knew this wouldn't be the end of it, and as it got closer to Sissy's due date, we all agreed not to tell ES until they were home from the hospital and settled in. But ES still had one more trick up her sleeve. Sissy went into labor very early in the morning, and after 11 hours, their baby boy was born. He was and still is perfect. Once they were home and just starting to get settled, they got a knock on the door. It was Child Protective Services. CPS said, we have received some information that we need to investigate. BIL and Sissy knew right away that this was ES, but since they had nothing to hide, they allowed CPS to look around the house. They found nothing and left. 2 days later, they were back and the same scenario occurred. For 4 weeks, CPS was there almost every other day, until finally, BIL and Sissy received a summons to court. ES was filing for custody of the baby. BIL and Sissy knew what her plan was. ES was hoping that they wouldn't show up to court because it was silly and that the judge would make a default judgment in her favor. BIL and Sissy arrived at court after dropping their son off with MIL. ES was a bit shocked, but she and her lawyer presented their case, saying that in only 4 weeks they had had CPS called on them 6 times by anonymous neighbors, who claimed that they were letting the baby cry for hours and that they didn't have any food for the baby. They stated that BIL and Sissy were clearly not ready to be parents and that ES just wanted to give the baby a loving home. The judge, aka Jay, took a look at the CPS papers and saw that nothing was found. Jay said, "And your case," pointing to the folder that BIL and Sissy had in front of them. BIL said, "My sister ES asked me on the day of our gender reveal if she could take the baby off our hands, and I assumed she meant she wanted to babysit him, so I agreed. She then proceeded to send us multiple copies of adoption forms and showed up uninvited to the baby shower and demanded that we hand our baby over because she had already told her daughter that they were getting him. And I have a feeling that she was the one who placed all those calls, seeing as our neighbors haven't been over to our house to know if we have food for him and they understand that babies cry." He presented the judge with the half-filled out adoption forms and the judge ruled in BIL and Sissy's favor. ES stood there confident until the second the judge dismissed the case, then she broke down in tears. After a year of not talking to each other, ES reaches out to BIL and apologized. She told him that she had found out that she wouldn't be able to have any more children and she went a bit crazy. She explained that she knew that it wasn't a good excuse for her behavior, but she missed her brother and wanted to fix things. BIL happily agreed, and now ES is back in the family and is a wonderful aunt to the baby boy. Update: Sissy is now expecting her second child. ES, after months of being told she couldn't have any more kids due to her endometriosis, is also pregnant. Update 2, Sissy is expecting a girl and ES is expecting a little boy. They both decided to get blood tests to find out the genders early. ES's pregnancy is going very well despite her medical issues. They are both due in the later half of this year. When I stumbled upon the post, I was immediately drawn in by the sheer absurdity of the title. OP explained that her sister has always been demanding and self-centered, which kind of explains her actions. However, it was a major shock towards the end when OP said that her sister was actually unable to have additional children. But fortunately, it seems that everything worked out in the end, which is pretty rare for these kind of stories. This next post was created in 2020 by user Morosa3. It's titled, "My mom turned her guest room into a nursery after I told her she will never meet my child. I am currently pregnant with my first child, and both my mom and stepdad have been terrible to me and my partner the entire time. They told us we would be unfit parents because we were not married yet, and legitimately screamed at my partner for knocking up their little girl. Even though we planned the pregnancy, they would call him every day and harass him and show up to his work. Try to convince him to leave me so I would have no choice but to move back in with them. It got worse as time went on. I finally decided to cut contact with them. Having a child can already be a stressful time, and having them around to make it worse was not something I was okay with. My partner and I have gone through a lot of family drama over the past couple of years, and having this baby has been one of the most exciting things for us. If my parents can't be nice to my partner, then they don't get to see our baby. Plus, they are the kind of people who don't wear masks in public and actively choose to be in large gatherings with no social distancing, so their seeing a newborn is out of the question. One day, I sent my mom a very detailed email explaining why she was not allowed to be a part of my life anymore and would not be seeing her grandchild. To make things even better, I also noted that we will be moving across the country shortly after she is born to be closer to other family members. So not only is she cut off, but we are literally moving far away and never coming back. She responds by showing up at our house at 11 p.m., screaming outside our door about how it is her baby and she deserves to be there for it. I tell her to off, and eventually she leaves. Months go by and she will text me randomly asking about technical problems with her Wi-Fi router or something and needs help. Little things like that don't mean much to me, and I sent her the info she needed. My cousin also had a virtual baby shower and sent my invitation to my mom's house accidentally, so my mom came by to give it to me. Things slowly came to a point where we were fairly amicable with each other, but I still stood my ground about our boundaries, and nothing else had changed. She knew this. Then she sent me a video today that blew my mind. She redecorated her entire guest room to be a nursery, a crib, changing table, $400 worth of newborn clothes, toy chest, stroller, car seat for her car, and the list goes on. In the video, she is in tears saying, "OMG, I can't believe my baby is going to be here soon. This is where she will sleep, where I will change her little diapers. These will be her toys." Is she psychotic, her baby, sleeping and living at her house? So I call her up immediately and I reiterate that we are still moving across the country soon and that she will have no contact with the baby before that. Her response: "Oh, okay, we will see about that." Genuinely confused. What part of "you will have no contact with this baby" does she not understand or thinks will change in the next few weeks when she is born? Is she planning on stealing her from us? I am at a loss for words. Edit. Wow, so many great tips from you guys. Thank you for the advice. I showed my partner the comments I've been getting, and I think we are starting to take this more seriously and will be contacting a lawyer on Monday. I wanted to mention a couple things to clarify as well. I have been seeing a psychotherapist the past few months strictly due to the relationship I have had with my mother throughout my life, and all of that is documented. My midwife in hospital is also very aware of the situation and the emotional stress I've been going through, so we will definitely be utilizing this in the case that she tries to sue us or call CPS. Also, due to the virus, only my partner is allowed to be with me during the birth anyway. We will be keeping things hush until after we move. We would have moved months ago if it was financially possible for us. We also spent a lot of money on my birth center here that is non-refundable. She is due in August and our lease ends in September. We already have everything set up to move and our other family is helping us out. Just a waiting game at this point. My partner is my power of attorney if something happens to me during the birth. We are currently in a state that is against grandparents' rights. The only way she would be able to sue for visitation is if both myself and my partner were deceased. Even after we move, she still cannot file for GPS if she is living in this state. OP went on to provide 3 more update posts, the first of which was created about 3 months after this initial post. The first update is titled, "My mom tries to convince me to go on a weekend resort vacation with me and my newborn that she is not allowed to see. So I gave birth about a week ago at home and my partner and I are so happy with our new addition. We have been quarantined since the second she was born and our pediatrician recommended for us to keep the baby home for at least 2 months to keep her safe from the virus." My mom called me after the birth crying about how upset she was that I didn't invite her to be present for the birth and also to congratulate me on giving birth to her baby, then asks when she can come see her. My partner and I, along with the consultation of a lawyer, agreed that my mother could see her one time through a car window, though there would be no touching or holding of any kind, just a simple viewing. So I told her this, and her response was that she would let me know when she's available. And then she hasn't said a word to me all week after, which works for me because I didn't want her to see the baby anyway. We just wanted to give her a chance. This morning, I get a voicemail from her asking to go on a resort trip for the weekend. I am absolutely baffled by this. What is going on in her mind? I don't even know what to say. There is still a pandemic and we are quarantining with the baby. I literally just gave birth a few days ago. We haven't spoken in months and all of a sudden she expects me to just go on a vacation with her. She is not allowed to see the baby. Even if she just wanted me to go, I'm not leaving my newborn. I'm not going to take the baby away from her father for that long just so my mom can hang out with her. We are set to move as soon as I'm cleared by my midwife. I am not responding to my mother and I'm starting to think that she is either seriously trying to manipulate me or is just not right in the head. Probably a mix of both. I gave her a chance to see the baby on my terms and she didn't take it, so that's her loss. The next update post was created just days after the first update. It's titled, "I gave my mom one chance to see her only grandchild and she turned it down because it wasn't a good enough offer. I have a bad relationship with my mother to say the least. She has been terrible to my partner and me during my entire pregnancy." I wrote an update about the things she was doing, like building a nursery in her room when I told her she wasn't going to see my baby a few days ago, but I finally got a response from her regarding the one viewing we were going to allow for her and I just had to post about it. Due to the virus, our pediatrician recommended that we quarantine the newborn for 2 months. My mother knew this, I told her many times. She refused to stay home, to get tested, to wear masks, or do anything really. It's her way or the highway in her mind, but not in reality. And boy, did she get a wake-up call today. Recently, I gave her the opportunity to view the baby through a car window. She seemed fine with it and said she would let me know when she was available. This woman will not stop. I'm fed up. My pregnancy hormones are gone, my baby is here. We are moving away in a matter of weeks, and she will never find us. If she thinks she has any power here, she is dead wrong. So I sent one last message to her and said, okay, no window then, maybe when she's 18, she will reach out to you, and blocked. The final update was posted the following year, about 5 to 6 months after the previous update. It's titled, I vaccinated my child. My mother is not happy about it. I currently don't speak to my mother, nor have I for many months now. But somehow, she still finds ways to butt into my life and the decisions I make for my child. My husband and I both come from anti-vax families. His side is against it, but doesn't shame us for vaccinating our daughter. My mother, however, really has a lot to say about it. Since we both were raised to not believe in science, it was pretty natural for us to be against vaccinating our daughter when she was born. I had a home birth, so it was easy to avoid everything. We would lie to pediatricians about it and just do what our parents did when we were kids. But since the new vaccine for COVID was released, I started to consider getting it and decided to do some actual research on vaccines as a whole. My husband and I made the decision to get vaccinated as well as get a schedule started for our 6-month-old baby to catch her up. We went in this morning to get her first shots. Everything went smoothly and so far she seems fine. She has been fussy and sleepier than usual, but the pediatrician said that's normal and will go away in a day or two. We left feeling proud that we were able to educate ourselves effectively and set our baby up for success. Then I get a call. It's my grandpa, or so I thought. I answer and the first thing I hear is, when you wake up and she isn't breathing, you'll be sorry. I can't believe you did this to my little girl. I hang up immediately and start to panic. I eventually traced it back to a family member that is a doctor. I was asking her questions about vaccines and I told her we were going in today. I guess she told my grandpa how excited she was for us and then he told my mom and then boom, end of the world. My mother-in-law found out later and seemed supportive given her opinions about vaccines. She told us, it's your decision and I trust that whatever you do is what is best for her. So I'm glad we have her to help reassure us a bit. But now I've been getting texts and calls from my mom through my grandpa's phone absolutely freaking out, saying that she hopes something happens to her so I will see the consequences of my actions. Also that she is praying for her, whatever that means. Ultimately, we are confident with our decision and will continue with her schedule. Although at times we do question if we made the right decision. I'm sure everything will be fine, but my mother seriously needs to chill out. So, Opie's mother seems like a complete freak. At first, I was thinking that whenever she referred to her daughter's baby as hers, she meant it in a sort of you belong to the family type of way. But as the story went on, it seemed more and more like Opie's mom truly believed that it was her kid. I just found that extremely creepy. And normally, I would see a gesture like setting up a nursery in your own home as a kind one, but given what we know about the mom, this just isn't the case here. The last update from OP wasn't exactly a good one. So hopefully she was able to fix her relationship with her parents. Or on the other hand, hopefully she was able to avoid them completely and able to live a semi-comfortable life.